Hey nerds, welcome to episode 61 of the Nerd Rundown podcast. Coming up this week on the show, Morg is stoked for part 2 of Stranger Things season 4. We talk about the return of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Comic-Con, and I nerd out over practical special effects. Stay tuned to the end when we wrap up the show on how you became a nerd. Was it nature or nurture? Ready? Hit it!
Hey nerds, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. Yes, your eyes and ears are not deceiving you. I am, in fact, not Darren Stemple. However, I will be your host for this episode, and my name is Morgan Santo, aka Big Morg 3000. And with me today, I'm honored to have the one and only Erik Hare.
Greetings, fellow nerds.
Perfect. You can find us on all the social media outlets via Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the Nerd Rundown. And while you're there, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. So make sure it goes from red to gray, right? Not gray to red. Red to gray.
Red to gray, yeah.
Make sure it changes so it says you are subscribed. And leave a comment. Our favorite thing to do is read any questions or comments you have and interact. I find that to be a blast. And you can catch us on any major podcast service. We are out there. So tonight's rundown is not the largest rundown we've ever covered, a little light on the news. So I say we just kind of get right into it, Erik. And,
dive in.
You know, we'll start with the first thing on our list here is Marvel Studios is heading back to Comic-Con this year. And it sounds like the great Kevin is going to give us some more detail on where the universe is heading.
Phase 4?
Is it 4?
Where are we at? Phase...
Yeah. Is it like a season 2, phase 4?
Yeah, right.
Right. Whatever that
phase
may
4,
be.
part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Because I know we've been watching it, all the Marvel stuff, and it is a little unclear where there's some hints, but with the whole multiverse and everything, they really can go anyway. So, Erik, I don't know if you got a chance to see what Kevin said about this, so I'll let you kind of take over here. What do you think? Do you think they're going to really give us a clear idea, or still kind of keep it secret? They can't ruin it.
Well, yeah, I mean, first time we've seen them in 3 years, so they took a couple of years off because of COVID, and Comic-Con was kind of virtual, just like every other convention was virtual over the last kind of couple of years. So I'm excited they're going to be back. I'm excited to see what it is they're gonna show us, because I think in 2019 they kind of unveiled, phase 4, the slate of what phase 4 is gonna encompass and stuff. And so, like we've talked about in the past, Feige alluded to, they are thinking 5-10 years out into the future, and so that's the stuff that I think we're gonna kind of see. And maybe get some more background info on, and kind of some insight into what their plans are, to kind of fill in those gaps. Because right now we've got the cinema side of the house laid out pretty well for us, but the Disney Plus side of things and the smaller screen stuff, we'll see if he talks about those types of things. I'd be interested to see what we've got planned. Some of the series have been more successful than some of the other series. I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen the numbers, and I don't think they really released numbers from Disney Plus stuff, so you don't really know like how Miss Marvel's doing.
Right.
So I don't know whether that's going to continue to be a thing, or we'll get an additional season of that. We've obviously got She-Hulk coming up. So maybe we'll get some more. Maybe we'll get some more stuff from that. Like I'm thinking that we'll probably see some sneak peek stuff there. We may get some Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, because I know that they're working through that project.
Right.
With Thor Love and Thunder, I think we'll probably get cast. Maybe we'll get some cast stuff from that. Although they're most likely going to be on junkets and promoting the film. So maybe that's what we're going to see is some Love and Thunder behind the scenes stuff, or maybe they'll talk about that. But I don't think so. Like, I kind of feel like this is going to be more Love and Thunder's today. We're going to be talking about, what's coming in the next year, what's coming in the next 5 years, and kind of more of a strategic vision. So but yeah, so I don't know, we'll see. What did you read? Like, what did you think?
Yeah, it's tough when I read something like this, because it's hard for them. I mean, they can't tell us directly what they're doing, or else that ruins it, right?
Right.
We can't know, oh yeah, and this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be the big bad guy for sure. They can't really tell us that. So I feel like we're definitely going to get some more hardened timelines, maybe, because I know things have shifted in the past because of COVID and whatnot. So I can see them going over that and officially now saying, oh, this is all of what is going to be in this phase, which will give us some idea. And I could see them doing some casting news. Maybe, spoiler alert, Multiverse of Madness, spoiler alert, it is on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
If you haven't seen it,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just dropped. I was like, oh, it's on there.
Right.
We did see that Illuminati scene, and so maybe we'll get some official casting news of who Mr. Fantastic truly is going to be, and who will be playing him, and things like that.
We did,
but
get
I
some...
honestly don't think they're going to reveal too much.
Yeah, I saw there was a story that dropped earlier this week. There was a confirmation that they alluded to a Doctor Doom tie-in with Reed Richards in that scene. If you haven't seen it, too bad. I'm sorry. But you get the scene with Reed Richards in the Illuminati, and there's a tie-in to Doctor Doom, and I don't know the specifics of it. Darren's probably yelling at the TV or yelling at the.
I can't remember what it was either.
Yeah, but it's some sort of tie-in to Doctor Doom, which maybe we'll get that character introduced, at least. Because I know we're getting a Fantastic Four movie. How that's going to fit into the whole multiverse, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to shoe in with the existing MCU, or whether they're going to make it a separate,
right?
Multiverse stuff. I'm not sure. So that's the thing, is like, I'm curious if we'll get more of a reveal on the overall strategic game plan for how things are going to go. Like, I don't need the nuanced details of anything, but I'm just kind of curious, where things are going to go. But I imagine we'll see. Imagine we'll see some Black Panther stuff. I imagine we'll see some Guardian stuff. Maybe some Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff. We may get some kind of teases of those things. But Marvel's really good at kind of keeping the cards close to the chest, because they don't want to reveal, that type of stuff. But
exactly.
But to me, I would be delighted if we got some confirmation on the revival of some TV series that we saw on Netflix that have now moved to Disney Plus. So specifically, Daredevil, and then I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing my
yes, that Punisher, is a Punisher skull on his shirt.
My Punisher skull. So it would be super cool if we got a little more of Frank Castle.
And I'd be thrilled if they announced too that, because we know they're coming, that when they say, yeah, we're doing this, we're not changing anything.
Yeah,
we're keeping these shows just how they were.
Yeah.
Work them into the overall story a little more, but
right.
I don't want them to really change much with them. Keep them the way they were.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Hopeful.
Yeah.
But
so I'm looking forward to it. I love Comic-Con. My dream at one point is, it's definitely a bucket list deal for me, is to get out to a Comic-Con. I would love to see like all the cosplay stuff. I love the cosplay. I would never do it, but I love to see all those people. I mean, some people just throw a little stuff on here and there, but you look at some of the outfits that these people, like they hand stitch stuff, they do, like they pour their blood, sweat, and tears into those outfits sometimes, and you look at it and you're like, wow, that is some fantastic craftsmanship, you know, and just they just love these, you know, different franchises, different properties, and you can't help but appreciate that, I think. So Comic-Con is definitely one that I would love to get to at some point.
We'll get there.
So.
We'll get there. So maybe we'll do an episode from there.
Right, that would be awesome. Like,
right,
maybe if you guys keep sharing our podcast with your friends and tell everybody about it, you know, so that maybe one day we can get press passes and actually be able to go and check stuff out. That would be
amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
But, well, Eric, I'll say, speaking of Marvel, because we did mention Thor a little bit, we got the final Thor Love and Thunder trailer. So along with some first reactions to the film, and I watched the trailer and it didn't add anything to me that makes me want to see it even more. Like I'm very excited for this movie. So
I was already 11. I don't know.
I was like, God, now I'm going to go see it. You know, now I got to see a little more interaction with Korg and with the creature. That little bit where he's writing on the with the marker and you hear the screeching and Thor just tells him to stop. Like so and the reactions have been very positive. Now I'll say this because I'd like to be a little fair here. I don't know of any movie that really has the first reactions were like, good Lord, don't see this movie, because they always invite the people that are super excited to see the movie.
Yeah. I think the Morbius ones were all like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, have you ever seen anything else? Like
even Scorsese loved it. But and that movie got a re-release.
Yeah, right.
What were they thinking? But the trailer doesn't sound like it hyped you even more. I don't know. I'm still hyped. Like I said, I'm still that up here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel the same way as you. Like I was already at 11. So like I'm not. This trailer didn't make me. I thought it was it was funnier again. It definitely has the Taika sense of humor. The Korg stuff is great. Hemsworth is a funny dude, and so I like that. I think the thing that I enjoyed the most, frankly, was Christian Bale's. We got to see just a little bit more of Christian Bale's character, and I'm like, wow, he looks great, and he looks sinister. I mean, like really, really disturbing. That character looks really, really disturbing, and so I'm curious how that's gonna. I'm more excited to see more of that character. I think more than anything. I think that's what I got out of that trailer. So if you haven't seen it, give it a check it out, because it does look pretty cool, and I think you do get to see more of Bale's character. Because he's definitely going to be a pretty good villain. And I think he's going to be a short-lived, the Gore, the God Butcher, I think is...
Yeah, I think this is the only one we're getting him in.
So I don't think he's going to be much as far as like a long-term, he's a I think a one-and-done villain.
Yeah,
but maybe we'll see. Well, maybe we'll see. Maybe they've got him. They'll pack him in the back pocket somewhere or whatever. But
and I'm interested to see how they kind of really work him in, and with his powers and whatnot, because I know loosely based off of the comics, I do not know the character well, is that if I remember correctly, the sword he uses to kill these gods is attached to the symbiotes, which is Venom and all that. And it's actually, if I remember correctly, where the symbiotes are born from, or from this sword. Yeah. Now, the sword in the trailer just looks like a normal sword, it doesn't look like it's got the symbiote stuff on it. And so
that's where Venom and what's the other one?
I guess all the symbiotes were born from this god that controlled the sword. Now, not Gore.
Right.
He wasn't the original god that had the sword, but he gets the sword, and that's what he used to kill him, because he needed that powerful sword. So
got it.
They do showcase the sword.
And Venom come from. Yeah, the symbiotes.
Yeah. They showcase the sword. A few times in here, but it doesn't look like anything special.
Yeah.
Now we know Marvel does. There's CGI. They remove stuff so you don't see certain
They're very clever about that. So what you see in the trailer may not actually be in the movie, or what's in the trailer may not be all that's in the movie. So what you see is maybe an early portion before they put anything else in there because of that. Yeah,
right.
They're very good. I think
the big one, Infinity War, the trailers, they all showed the Hulk running with the team at the end, and we all now know the Hulk wasn't really in Infinity War,
right? Yeah,
that much. So yeah, I'm hyped.
Yeah,
I'm still hyped. Did not change me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be there opening night, but I probably will be. Like depending on what the schedule is going to look like, I may actually, it might be a 10:30 show for me real late at night, and I'll go see it, by myself because I don't think I have anybody to go with me to see it, that late.
Unfortunately, I think I'm actually will be traveling home from Florida at that point, or well, no, I could probably see it on a Thursday showing.
Yeah, right.
But no, I'm excited. We'll definitely check it out, and we'll make sure to talk about it when we all get to see it. But
for sure, yeah.
Next, we had another big trailer. Now, Eric, I know you didn't finish this season yet, but we got
I haven't even started.
Trailer for Stranger Things Volume 2.
Yeah.
Well, did you watch the trailer? Did you risk watching it?
So I did, and I kind of wish that I didn't. So which is really funny because
watch the trailer for the second half of the season you haven't watched yet.
I was okay. So when when season 4 was about to start, like a week before they released the first 8 minutes of episode 1 of season 4. And I was the only one out of everybody that actually watched the 8 minutes in because everybody else was like, no, I'm not going to watch it till I get to watch the show. And I was like, man, I cannot wait to see this. And then I got hooked into Obi-Wan Kenobi and Strange New Worlds, which I do need at some point. I need to talk about Strange New Worlds because that is the Star Trek that I know and love. Like that is, I am loving Strange New Worlds, so I definitely need to talk about it. So I'm almost caught up on that completely. I watched all of Obi-Wan. That was really great. And so now my objective this week is to get started on Stranger Things, but the episodes are huge, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta try and just plow through. And my son Jackson is playing t-ball, and I am coaching his team. So I'm coaching Mondays and Wednesdays him on t-ball. Amelia is playing fast pitch softball, and so she has games on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm at a baseball field or a softball field, like every night. So it's really tough. But we're trying to get through it. So I'm hoping to be able to catch up on Stranger Things this week. But I will say this trailer, holy balls! Wow, it looks awesome. The kids look just amazing. They just look amazing. So I'll pitch it back into your court because I really don't have a ton to add. You've seen season 4 up to this point, so without any spoilers, because we're still in like with me, we're still knee deep in it. What did you think based on what you've seen so far?
I am pumped for this second half. That trailer got me extremely excited, especially because I have seen the first half.
Yeah.
That trailer definitely, and no spoilers here, but I'm sure you got the vibe. It looks like they're taking the fight to the bad guys instead of waiting for the bad guys to come to them, like always happens in every season. I also did appreciate it. Looked like they had their best going to fight some Lost Boys outfits on. Right. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. They're ready.
They're ready. Yeah.
I was like, that looked great. I think we're definitely going to get. I think there's going to be some deaths. Don't know how many, but I think there's going to be some deaths.
Yeah.
I saw a snippet from the trailer that somebody freeze framed on, and it was Dustin, and it looked like the Upside Down, and he is just. You could tell he's screaming and bawling his eyes out.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So I am fairly certain somebody's going down, and my guess would be Steve based off of that image because we know of their bond.
Yeah, they're pretty good friends. Man, Steve.
I know, but I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Just speculation. It's just speculation.
I'm excited to see Eddie shred the guitar.
Talk about a character that has gone from what he was in that first season to at least what I've seen through season 3.
Oh yeah, he was the jockey douchebag. That was his role in the beginning.
So cool. He's such a good dude. You're just like, oh man, and that's gonna break my heart if he doesn't.
That'll be bad. It'll be bad. It'll stink if any of them go at this point.
Because basically everybody on board at this point is you care about a lot of them. So,
but it looks good. I shouldn't say I've heard. I should say it looks like it's going to be good, and I hope they wrap it up pretty good. And I'm pumped. I'm excited, Eric. You need to get on it.
I know. I got to get started. I will get started. As a matter of fact, if we wrap up early enough tonight, maybe I'll even kick off.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
Kick off.
It's okay. My wife still isn't through it. I've watched it all. She's still trying. Oh no, she did finish it. She's now rewatching all of the series again.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because she informed me she never watched the end of season 1. She hasn't seen the end of season 2. And I'm like, what'd you do? She's like, I don't know. I just never watched them. I was like, okay, that's odd. That's a strange flex. But,
well, I gotta get through it this week because honestly, I'm running out of time here because
it comes out first.
I guess because I've got two other shows getting ready to get going, and then I'm gonna get and things are gonna get pretty packed in here. So I've got to get it. I've got to try and get it done this week because Westworld starts here this
weekend, right?
I think it starts
today
this
or
week.
next.
I'm not sure.
Today, did it?
It may have come out today. Westworld starts and the Terminal List starts with Chris Pratt, and holy smokes, like the more I see from the Terminal List,
I can't wait for that.
The more I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks just badass.
I saw the new Jurassic World and they showed a trailer for it.
Oh, did they really? Yeah. That's.
I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so good.
It looks just spectacular. So yeah, but yeah, I love all the kids. I love the story that they started with. With Millie Bobby Brown's character 11. In the first 8 minutes that I saw, you kind of get a flashback of what. What kind of kickstarted everything, I guess, or whatever in that.
Right.
Her character is so great. And she at her age, she's such a gem, like a real talent. She
has great potential. She can go on to do a lot of things.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that she did, which I think is our next item to talk about her.
Speaking of Millie Bobby Brown,
right,
to do some big things.
Yeah.
It looks like the rumor is that she could be joining the Star Wars universe. Now there really isn't much more outside of that.
Yeah.
Right now it's all speculation, just some leaks about stuff, not even what she could be or who or what she'll be in. With the rumors, it's always hard to report on that because, again, nothing's verified. But if she is joining the Star Wars universe, where are they putting her? Like, what do you like? Do you think they're going to create a whole new show based around a new character or a movie, whatever it may be, or do you think she's going to be playing somebody? I could see her being. Could
you put her in a Carrie Fisher Leia?
I was just going to say I could see her being not a super young Leia, because we already got that, but a middle of the road Leia. So I could see them doing a show or a movie more about her really getting into that leader of the rebellion role and the politics of her planet and doing, becoming what we know her as from episode 4 and 5 and 6. I don't know. What do you think?
I hope not. I really hope not. Like, I really kind of hope that we move on from that time period of that galaxy. Like we could maybe go back further in time, or we could go forward. I just think that, or maybe so. Maybe we do get more rebellion stuff, but I just feel like maybe we move on to. There's plenty of stuff to tell in that whole universe, there's so many different planets, so many different star systems, so many different time periods we could go through. I mean, the Jedi have a long and storied history. You know, the dark side, the light side. They fought each other back and forth. You know, I mean, you have the Darth Plagueis. You know, you have. I mean, there's so many stories that you could go and tell. So I don't know. That's. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. I like I said, she's a super good she's a super talented girl. So whatever she chooses to do, I think she's going to be successful at. I just hope that they can put a good story together because that's been the biggest problem with Star Wars to this point is we've had this discussion many times. Especially in the big budget movie stuff, the best thing that's happened to Star Wars is shrinking the budget and pushing them towards the small screen because you don't have $300 million to make a movie or $100 million to make a movie. You know, the budgets are smaller, which forces you to tell better character stories. And that's what people loved about Star Wars to begin with. It was not a huge budget. I mean, it had a big budget, but they had to.
Yeah.
You know, they had
potatoes
to.
And
Yeah, they had to do stuff, and you know, you had to. It was something people had never seen, but at the same time, the characters you cared about. You cared about Luke. You cared about Leia. You cared about Han. You know, he was a swashbuckling douche. You know, like he was kind of a jerk. You know, but you're like, but he's still so cool. You know, and then Chewbacca and you know and Obi-Wan. I mean, it was just great. R2-D2 and C-3PO. I mean, those like all those characters you cared about, and you were excited to see where the story took you next. And then you watch Darth Vader, and he was just like, oh my gosh, like the less you saw of him, the more sinister he was.
Right.
You know, and so they were just forced to do more with less, and I think that Star Wars that we see on The Mandalorian, they're forced to do more with less because the budget's not there, and people ate it up. They were like, "Oh man, this character's awesome," you know. And it's not like they're breaking new ground. I mean, they're telling it's a western, you know. It's a western or a bounty hunter story. I mean, anybody who ever watched like the Fall Guy from like Lee Major's The Fall Guy, he was a bounty hunter, you know, and he went after guys. You know, had like instead of a creature of the week, it was a bounty of the week, you know. And the guy goes out and gets the bad guy, you know. Except now he's wearing an Star Wars armor suit, you know, and it's like it's just awesome. But it's cool, you know. It's cool, and it forces them to do that. So that's my hope is that they let her do what she does best, and this is where I think they shortchanged Natalie Portman in the first that first 1, 2, and 3. She's a phenomenal actress. Millie Bobby Brown's a phenomenal actress. Put a phenomenal script together, let her do her job the way she can do her job, and you're gonna be reaping the benefits off that.
Exactly.
You know, you'll be cashing checks from here till the time you die. You know, so so that's what I hope for that.
No, I could definitely get behind that. I agree. I think it's time to get away from the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
It's time to. I think we need to finally let that rest. We've milked it so much.
Yeah.
Time to move on, tell another great story, and she can play any part in it. And she'll, like you said, good script, good directing. She's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah,
we know that, and there's so much they could do. You know, whether I mean, do Jedi Sith stuff, of course, that's what we want, but do it. I mean, do it way back in the old Republic. Yeah. You know, just something else.
Or 30 years in the future. You know, where they're picking up the pieces from it, you know,
right?
Like you could still
rebuilding.
Yeah, you could still do. You know, I mean, the universe is not gonna, the galaxy's not gonna, you know, be fixed after you know the Empire collapsing and all that stuff. It's not gonna be fixed. There's gonna be plenty of problems for a long time, you know, for people to do. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited if that does turn out to be true. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yep.
I'm hopeful for it, and I hope it's something good. But getting out of the Star Wars universe, let's go into another universe here. We got some first looks up first. We got a little image of some orcs in the new Lord of the Rings show. They're looking orky. Is that the right
orcish?
Yeah. What's their Is
What's
it
the
orc
plural?
high when
Is it
there's more
orcs?
than
Yeah.
one? Is it orcs? Is it
orcs?
Is it like? Is it
There's
just
some orcses over there?
Yeah. What is the? I'm not sure what the wording is on
The
that.
plural.
Maybe we'll get it defined in the show. But yeah, I mean they look like orcs. I know the little blurb. They said these aren't gonna quite look like your traditional orcs.
Yeah, they talked about them being
know
in
what
like
that
this.
really means.
Yeah, this is going to be from the Second Age, which is 1,000 years before the events of the Third Age, which I think is where you saw. You know,
I think
that's where you had the orcs that came from what's his name, Sauron.
Right. Because now, correct, I don't know Lord of the Rings lore history that well.
Yeah.
Do orcs have babies? Like, they're just created, right? Like, out of mud and stuff? Like, based on... Now, my knowledge is the trilogy movie. I'm sorry, Nerd World.
At least that's what I saw in the I remember from the Lord of the Rings movie. They dug them out of the ground, you know, and they were like, they came out of the mud and stuff. So I don't know how, and maybe that changes over time. I don't know. I don't know how excited I am to see this. Like, I don't know that this feels like a very, although I do want to rewind. I'm gonna rewind just a smidge about our Star Wars conversation. We talked about when we first saw the trailer for Obi-Wan and Lars Owen gets that burn in on Obi-Wan. And I remember saying, I think, nobody's asking for like more Lars Owen, you know. But I have to say, after watching Obi-Wan and watching the finale of Obi-Wan, pleasantly surprised by Lars Owen and Beru. Like, pleasantly surprised, and with something that I didn't know that I needed. And I'm like, okay, so I stand corrected on seeing more. And maybe that's from Joel Edgerton, and then I can't remember who the girl is that plays Beru, but I can't remember either. But pleasantly surprised by their performances and how well that worked out, you know. And even all the way to the very end in the finale, I was like, wow, that actually was pretty cool. So going back to the orcs, I'm gonna say it again. I don't know that I want to, like, I don't think anybody was clamoring for like more. Like, I get like the showrunner, I think the producer, executive producer had said something along those lines. He's like, I love orcs, you know, and I wanted to see more orcs, and so we wrote a show based on orcs. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't know that I want to see a show about orcs. However, I will say that I absolutely love their attitude towards the characters and how they want to present the characters, namely practical effects. They are using practical effects, prosthetics, makeup, not CGI. And to me, that I'll probably tune in just for that right there, because that to me is so important in movies. Like, I hate CGI so much sometimes, you know, where they I'm like, come on, just, you know, I mean, like, there's some instances where CGI is really, really cool. Like the Planet of the Apes stuff that they did where they made like Caesar and all those. And I'm like, okay, that to me was super cool. But why? Like, why wouldn't you do practical effects and have a real man or woman in those, you know, in those costumes with that makeup on there, and just, oh my gosh, just like they can really act all that stuff out and do all the stuff that they want to do. Like, I remember watching that first Lord of the Rings movie, and that dude, he scared the hell out of me, you know, like the guy with the black and white makeup on his face, you know, and I was like, oh my Lord, you know, his teeth, like, I was like, gee whiz, and he was gigantic. That one dude was like gigantic, and, you know, and then, so I don't know, like, just.
Oh yeah, I turned it on not too long ago. I was like, you know what, let's watch. I remember watching. My wife's like, is that gonna be too scary? I'm like, nah. Yeah. I'm like, well, you know me, I take this kid to go see the Batman. And, so I'm like, nah. So I turn on. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how scary these orcs are. Like, I completely forgot how terrifying they look and the way they act. And, you know, like, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So that is good to hear that they're doing some practical stuff. I mean, I'm a little nervous about the show. I've been reading some things and hearing some things. I know that out of all the material, people always show like they only have the rights to this much of it.
Yeah.
So it's like they're really just making this all up.
They're kind of hemmed in.
They can't really follow anything.
Right.
Which is a little terrifying. Now, again, I'm not a hardcore Lord of the Rings. I know all the lore stuff, so I'm not going to know any better when I watch it.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think is going to help. But I hear that the hardcore Lord of the Rings people that really know the lore, it sounds like they're not going to be too happy with the show.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. It could be a pleasant surprise to everybody. I'm still tuning in. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see all the effects and what they do with it.
Yeah.
And I am hopeful. I mean, with that budget, it better work out for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of practical effects, we got some first look at Furiosa.
Oh man, yes.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're going back to the wasteland, and those images we saw, they're definitely doing practical effects.
For sure.
It looked like it was some sort of bridge. We had some vehicles with a gun on it, guys on motorcycles, dirt bikes. I mean, Eric, do you know much about the background? Like, what is this story about?
So they really haven't talked much about the background of the Furiosa character because we really don't know a ton about her. But it's in the Mad Max. It's in the Mad Max universe. So we're talking Mad Max and then the Road Warrior and then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and then we got the Mad Max movie that we had a few years ago with what's his name.
Bane.
Yeah, Bane. Gosh, I can't
Hardy. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Yep. Mm-hmm. And the real breakout character was the Furiosa character that was kind of the mother hen over top of the women. And she kind of was. I thought she was actually better than. Yeah, and I think everybody else did too.
Yeah.
I thought that she was actually better than Tom Hardy's Mad Max.
She actually had to act.
Right?
Tom
Hardy
didn't have to do anything really.
Yeah, right. So, so this is a prequel to the Mad Max movie to see, like, I think it's an origin story of the Furiosa character and how she perhaps got to where she is. So I don't know. I think they're going to do it probably the way they have done some of the other stuff where they just start off with the apocalypse, like you're dropped into the apocalypse happened. This character is where they are, and then you kind of see them develop. So I think that's where they're going to go, but I could be wrong. Like she may be a pre-apocalyptic situation, and then it's how she, it happens, and then she's kind of forced into becoming this badass chick, who she is. Right. But I saw the set pieces, that they showed, at least the pictures that they showed, some stunt stuff, and if it's as good as the original one that they did, more recently, and the original Mad Max movies, they were all very practical and all that stuff. That was well before CGI and all that. So I love that stuff. I love practical effects. I really do. CGI can help you in certain spots.
Yeah, because there's some things you just literally cannot do without it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I think people really really responded to in the previous Mad Max. And you're seeing it, I think, with the success of Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
That a lot of that was one of the key cornerstones of their thing was we want to reduce the amount of CGI as possibly. So all those flying scenes, they are real flying scenes. Nothing in there is not an actual airplane doing what's happening. So it's all. There are some CGI scenes, where they if you haven't seen the movie, there's a spy plane that is in there. It's a test plane that they're working with, and that is actually a F-18 that they used, and then they digitally put that plane over top of it. But all the flying scenes are real from another airplane, from an actual airplane that did it, and then they just kind of digitally went over top of it. But so going back to Furiosa, Anya Taylor-Joy is now playing the character, a much younger version of the Charlize Theron character. So, and if you've seen anything that she's been in, she's just a dynamite actress as well. Like, she's just phenomenal. So, I am really looking forward to this. And the more pictures I see, again, with the practical stuff, I'm like, oh yes, like this is, agreed. I'm really hyped for this one because I really loved the first Mad Max that they did. I thought it was really great. So I'm kind of curious to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'll say, Eric, it looks like they actually recently released the official plot synopsis of the movie.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, it says, as the world fell, young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of a great biker horde led by the warlord Dementus. Sweeping through the wasteland, they come across the Citadel, presided over by the Immortan Joe. While the two tyrants war for dominance, Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
So I'm guessing that's those bikers we saw in the images. Maybe that's that biker gang you're talking about.
Yeah. Must be.
But yeah, I'm hopeful. The more practical effects they can do with this, I think the bigger and better the movie will do.
Yeah. Well, you know, the way they filmed the first one, you know, they did use CGI. I'm not going to say that they didn't, but they mainly used it as background, like to change the sky, you know, to see like how the sky, to the storm, to make it look like more sinister. But like all the people riding around in the desert, that's all real. You know, they were all really running around in the desert and stuff. So yeah, I think it looks super cool. I'm really excited. So,
and Eric, so that kind of wraps up our nerd rundown here. But I know you said there was something you wanted to address about Star Trek, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Before we forget.
Yeah. So we have had some comments come in over I think episode 60. We got some comments from Tracy Bittner. I think is about Tracy Bittner had commented and wanted to know kind of what I was thinking of Strange New Worlds, and I've actually had that question from a couple of different people, and so I didn't even watch season 2 of Picard. I can't even bring myself to do it because I've just heard so many bad things about it from real Star Trek fans, you know, who have been like, it's just really tough. But I do see more and more news coming out about season 3 and how it's going to be more of a revival, you know, they're going to be bringing the old cast back. A lot of the old cast is going to be coming back for that one. So I don't know. I'll eventually watch Picard season 2 just because I'm a sick human being and I'll end up doing just like I finished watching Walking Dead, you know, or up to this point, and I'll finish that out.
One of the best shows ever.
Right. Yeah. So I'll finish watching it. Discovery, I've tried. I just can't. I just really can't. I haven't been able to get into it. I am loving Strange New Worlds right from the very get-go. Anson Mount with his character, Rebecca Romijn's character is really great. They recast a guy into the Spock role, and he is dynamite. Like, he is really great. I love, you know, I really love the Nurse Chapel in the medical area and the doctor in there. You talk about a heartbreaking story, the doctor and his daughter, that, you know, so if you do watch it, man, just great storytelling. Like, I love that they're going from planet to planet and having these adventures and sometimes facing, you know, some pretty tough odds in a lot of stuff, you know, and it's just like, wow. I mean, it's really good. If you haven't watched, I dare say that if you've never watched any Star Trek before, you can start with Strange New Worlds, episode 1, and be okay. Like, you really would be okay because you don't need to know anything about it. it's a good place to start, and I think you'd be just fine. That they've got some really great storytelling, some really great characters, and I've so far really loved it and really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that they continue to go down go down the path that they're going. So I'm loving that. Tracy also did remind me, I think last week we had the nerd question. The NRDbox question was, I had said the Batman, Jack Nicholson's Batman laugh, I thought was a really cool laugh, and ultimately Goose's laugh in Top Gun, because it's pretty in the forefront of my mind right now as being a really great, like his fake laugh. I just think it's great. But Tracy did remind me of Cesar Romero's laugh from the 1960s Batman. And oh my gosh, I was like, holy smokes, like that is a great comment, because I had forgotten about how great Cesar Romero's Joker laugh was also. So it's great. That was a really good suggestion. So
I'm glad you were able to address that. And I know Tracy has suggested doing some sort of trek off.
Or trek off, yes.
Trek off.
Oh my gosh.
But Tracy, apparently there's a more formidable opponent.
I believe that there might be. I don't know that I would be a very good opponent. I think probably Tracy wiped the floor with me. But however, we do have fan of the show, lives next door to Darren Stemple, Bryant, and he has been on the show before. We've had him on the show, so maybe we could bring him in and we could do a three-way battle, or maybe it'll really be just a two-way battle between those two, I'm sure, once I'm eliminated in round one. So but I think that might be a good idea.
I think that'd be a lot of fun, and especially his idea of loser has to donate some money to the winner's charity of choice. We're not talking crazy money here. We're not rich and famous yet, but a little something. So at least it goes to a good cause. But with that, let's get right into the nerd box. We'll wrap up with this, and this actually comes from our gracious leader and normal host that couldn't be on this episode with us, Darren Stemple. He asks, what or whom is your most influential nerd in your life? Meaning, what is the thing or person that influences your nerdom the most, and why? So, Eric, I'll kick it to you.
This was pretty
because
easy.
I'm not sure.
This was pretty easy, and actually this question would have been great last week, because the biggest nerd in my life is my dad. And he may not actually consider himself to be a nerd, and that's okay, but my dad really started me on a lot of different stuff. I can remember, I've said on the show, my first memory of seeing a movie is Star Trek II in 1982. I think I was like 6 at the time or something like that. Dad took me to see, it's 82 or 83, took me to see Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And, prior to that, I'd watched like Star Wars, and then we'd seen Empire Strikes Back. I vividly remember standing in line for opening night to go see Return of the Jedi in 83. I remember clearly the Rancor, because it scared the living hell out of me, and I think I was like 7 at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, that Rancor monster was just like, it was crazy. But Dad always put together all of our toys, like all of our G.I. Joe toys and all of our Star Wars toys, and Dad listened to movie soundtracks, and we always had movie soundtracks here and there, and so I've always been like a movie score nerd because of my dad's love for like movie scores and all that stuff, and so we watched like Indiana Jones, and we watched just anything like that. We always loved that stuff, and when I became like an aviation nerd, Dad would take us to the air shows and just all that stuff. So the most influential nerd in my life is for sure my father. So
Okay.
Happy Father's Day for last week, Pop.
Yeah.
But thank you for making me the nerd I am today. I mean, as you can see, like behind me, I've got all kinds of nerdy stuff. And the majority of it is, like Dad's a big football fan, so I always watch football with my dad. But we have Darth Vader, who's this Star Wars guy, and Dad was always a Star Wars guy. We were always into space stuff, so we had. We always watched the shuttle launches and all that other stuff, and just all that. So everything pretty much nerdy is attributed to my dad. How about you? What is the most nerdy for you?
Yeah, my dad is up there, but he's not the most influential nerd. Now, don't get me wrong, he is more of a nerd than he will lead on, just because he's that classic. You know how there's just some dads that just seem to know freaking everything that you could possibly know, and you're always like, why don't you go on game shows and go out, like, come on, like, because you just know all this stuff. But he never not supported, like, he was never like, no, stay away from the Star Wars stuff, and he watches all that. He appreciates all that, the old stuff. He could give a crap about any of the new stuff.
Yeah.
But he was always more of like a war buff and things like that. So I get a lot of my appreciation from that. But my true nerd influence is honestly my friends. I've always been more attracted to the nerdy stuff, but it's a lot of, hanging out with my good friends like Brian Hing and his brother Brad, who's been on the show. And then you guys, you and Darren, and, it's that nerdom that makes me want to be even more of a nerd. Just to try to even keep up almost sometimes, and we all talk about it, and we have that social community of just, oh, did you watch this? Let's talk about it, and so I would say it's definitely my friends at most that I grew up with that influenced my nerdom the most. My BC crew as we said. So I appreciate that. I appreciate meeting them so they flourished my nerdom even more.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So
that's awesome.
That's a great question, Darren. We wish you were here so we could hear yours. I think we know your answer, but
right.
We won't say. We'll let you answer that sometime. But with that being,
I was going to say if we to kind of open it up, we'll hear Darren say it in the comments on YouTube. Share with us in the comments who was the most influential nerd in your life, or is maybe continues to be the most influential nerd, because that's something we'd be interested to kind of hear about. Is this hereditary? Is nerddom hereditary? Does it come mostly from our parents, or is it a learned behavior that you pick up from all your friends and all that other stuff? So
that'd be fun to hear. I'd like to see kind of the back and forth and what everybody says on that one, because I'm sure everybody's is completely different, and some might not even really have an influential nerd in their life. They just kind of always were into it, and they're on their own. But that'd be great, and I'm definitely going to look forward to seeing Darren's answer in those comments. You better answer, Darren.
Right, for sure.
But with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here and move on over to the Presents, where we're going to have a really fun show in the Presents. I believe we're going to be talking about a pretty good movie.
I think so. I think we'll be talking about
a little movie called Top Gun Maverick. So a little just, something that just hit $1 billion in the box office.
Right,
but, so make sure to come over, listen to that, check us out. We appreciate you tuning in and listen to this. Hit that like, subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you didn't like it, well, we appreciate you sticking around this long. So that's always nice. But share it, comment. Look forward to hearing what you have to say, and we'll catch you on the next rundown.
See ya. Bye.
Deuces.